Hey there fellow Planeswalkers, it's Steve for Collector Mania, and we are continuing on with our Commander Deck Tech series. So today we're going to spotlight Core Set 2019 with Arcades the Strategist. So, 1 colorless and Bant, legendary creature Elder Dragon 3/5, Flying Vigilance. It has a triggered ability of whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under control, draw a card. It also has the ability that says, each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So overall, really impressive card. I love the artwork, love pretty much everything about it. It's become a huge hit in the Commander community. I know a lot of people are brewing this right now. A lot of people have decked it already, but I kind of wanted to throw my own little spin on it, and really what we're trying to do here, if you want to jump over to the creatures on the side there, if you can see Perimeter Captain, so a white 0/4 Defender. Whenever a creature you control with Defender blocks, you may gain 2 life. So I've actually built my deck as a kind of sub-theme life gain, overall theme, Defender, of course. So with that, let's go ahead and break into the rest here. First up, secondly, we've got Angelic Wall, so a colorless and a white 0/4 flyer that basically just has Defender on it and then swings for 4 in the air, and that's exactly what we want it to do. So really powerful creature for really low converted mana cost. I've got Overgrown Battlement, so a colorless and a green 0/4 Defender. Tap to add green to your mana pool for each creature with Defender you control. So really powerful for the strategy. As you can guess, we have a lot of creatures that say Defender in their tagline. And we've got Spellskite. So although this doesn't fit the Defender theme, it actually does fit the Toughness Matters theme, and it's great for protecting our commander, which is what we mainly need it for. A lot of people are going to be gunning for Arcades to just make our creatures just a bunch of Defenders, so we gotta have quite a few ways to prevent that. I've got a Stalwart Shield-Bearers, so a colorless and a white Defender. Other creatures you control with Defender get 0 and 2. 0/3. Really powerful card for this type of strategy. I recommend trying to find your copies now. I know that our store has already been bought out of this, and I can imagine that's going to be the case for a lot of places. I've got a Sunscape Familiar, so a colorless and a white. Green spells and blue spells you play cost 1 colorless less to play. 0/3, perfect for this strategy. It's a wall, and it also reduces the cost of our spells. Awesome. Then I've got a Sylvan Caryatid. Of course, this is a staple in the deck already, so 0/3, Defender Hexproof. Tap to add any 1 color of mana to your mana pool. Perfect. I've got Tetsuo Umezawa, so this is kind of leaning more towards like the aggro strategy that most of these decks are being built around. So creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked, so perfect for what we're trying to do. I recommend this in pretty much any build. It's an amazing card. I've got Wall of Blossoms, being able to double draw, that's amazing. Same with Wall of Omens, same kind of idea here. I've got Axebane Guardian, another key card in the strategy. Just being able to tap and then once again add a ton of mana to your mana pool for the amount of Defenders you have, which, like I said, are most of the creatures in this deck. I've got Drift of Phantasms. Not only is this a great transmute spell, but it's also just a good big flyer that can swing through for a lot of early damage. I've got Guard Gomazoa, probably one of the best of the Defenders without this type of strategy, and I would say it fits perfectly in here as well. I've got Guardians of Meletis, so 3 colors, 0/6 Defender. I basically just included it as a way for, say those weird games that we are kind of messing up with our mana and we're not hitting what we need to hit. We now have a colorless creature that we can play and at least kind of defend ourselves while we kind of recover. I've got Hover Barrier, so another great flying creature. Wall of Denial, probably the best creature, best wall in my opinion. It having Shroud actually helps us out quite a bit. They can't target this, and then it swings over for 8. Yeah, that's pretty devastating. Then I've got Mentor of the Meek. As you can imagine, we're playing a lot of creatures with power 2 or less, so we get to draw a lot of cards off this guy as well. Then we've got Brago, King Eternal. So I know this is kind of a weird include in here, but I honestly really like it. If you think about it, Arcadia says whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield and you control, draw a card. So we can actually blink all of our Defenders after we've attacked with them and give them some sort of like pseudo-vigilance, but also just have them come back into the battlefield and then draw us a ton of cards. So the only thing we have to be careful with is drawing ourselves out, I think. Plus, Brago has high toughness, so he kind of fits into the build anyway. I've got Golden Guardian. I've been trying to place this in a lot of different decks, and I think it actually works pretty well here. It's going to be pretty easy to flip. Most of our creatures, that at some point we'll probably be able to kill this guy, especially with a few of our higher drops, and then just flip him over if we need to. Other than that, he's just a 4/4 that does pretty well. Flip side here is basically you can pay 4, tap it, create a 4/4 colorless golem. This might be a little bit of an overreach, I guess I'd say. Like I said, I've been trying to place this somewhere. I just love the card, and I wish it was a little bit more playable. So this may not make it to your build, but I actually kind of like it. I've got Oketra the True, so another card that might seem a little bit odd, but there's a few ways that I think we can kind of utilize this. It being able to, at some point with some other cards in our deck, switch its power or its toughness to its power is amazing. So once again, we're swinging with 6 double strike, which is actually pretty impressive. The fact that it can make tokens is also pretty cool. They're vigilant tokens, which isn't bad. And then it can pretty much just swing in with our walls at any time, you know, even if we don't have like assault formation or anything like that to kind of give it a little bit of a boost, it's still pretty powerful. I've got Rhox Faithmender, and as I was saying before, there's a sub-theme of life gain in here, so this card just made a lot of sense. I've got a Wakestone Gargoyle, so this is actually pretty cool. It lets our defenders attack, essentially, so creatures you control with defender can attack this turn as though they didn't have defender. So, say people are just gunning after Arcades the entire game, we get this guy on the board and we can still kind of do stuff, which is exactly what we want. You know, we don't want to be pinned down to just having blockers. I've got a Wall of Reverence, so another good life gain creature. I've got Infested Roothold. I think I'm going to start playing this in a lot of decks, actually. It's pretty cool. So 4 colorless and a green 0/3. Protection from artifacts. Whenever an opponent plays an artifact spell, you may put a 1/1 green insect creature token into play. So pretty good token maker, actually. I've got Krufix, God of Horizons. I just like Krufix a lot. It fits into the toughness theme, like I was saying. I love all the abilities on here. I don't know how often it'll be actually active as a creature, but for the most part, it's just an amazing enchantment. I've got Mnemonic Wall, so a great way to recur some of our spells. I've got Revelark, of course, returning a lot of our creatures to the battlefield. Consecrated Sphinx, just a good flyer, plus great at drawing us a ton of cards, really. Dragonlord Dromoka, so I anticipate there's going to be a lot of games where we're going to try and just win in one turn, so this is a great effect to have on board. You know, just being able to essentially shut down all of our opponent's answers for the most part, and then just play out whatever we want to. And Dragonlord Dromoka is just an amazing card on its own. It fits right into both themes. I mean, like, giant 5/7 flyer that also has lifelink. Pretty perfect. Oathsworn Giant, this is another card that I would highly recommend picking up as quick as you can. It's probably going to fly off the shelves pretty much everywhere because this guy, once again, is going to be pretty popular. So Vigilance, other creatures you control get +0/+2 and have Vigilance, so it makes it so our walls can attack and block, which is pretty perfect. I've got Sun Titan, once again being able to recur pretty much all of our creatures with, you know, a little bit of exception with the higher converted mana cost, but there's a ton of guys that are 3 or less that are just like giant flyers, like 0/8 flyers that we want to recur and just keep hitting people with, so Sun Titan works out really well here. I've got Ulvenwald Observer, so this is kind of an odd include in my opinion, but I actually like it. So 4 colors, 2 green. Whenever a creature you control with toughness 4 or greater dies, draw a card, so once again, just more draw power. Then we've got Elish Norn, so I think this is just an amazing way to kind of finish out the game. It's a great pump spell, always has been. Really good at just making your army ridiculously hard to deal with. I've got Colossus of Akros, of course, a amazing defender that I actually play in quite a few decks already, so it fits right in here. Being defender and indestructible and then just being able to turn itself into a 20/20 is pretty amazing. I've got Zeltapa Primal Dawn, so I saw this in a few lists and I was just like, oh yeah, that's perfect. So 6 colors, 2 white, flying double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible. If you ever do get that assault formation on the board or one of your other tricks to do that with, it becomes an 8 double striker, which is pretty important there. It's pretty amazing, actually. Okay, so with that, we're going to break into our artifacts. So we've got an Elixir of Immortality, good reshuffle effect, a Peregrine Mask. So this is just a way for us to make one of our creatures that's not a defender, and then get the advantage of having Arcades on the board, essentially. Plus, it gives them flying in first strike, which is also pretty cool. Slagworm Armor, so a really cheap way to give one of our creatures a huge boost in attack damage. Soul Ring, of course. Lightning Greaves, once again we got a Protector Commander. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, so a great way to scry and draw a card. Aetherflux Reservoir, like I said, alternate win conditioner right there. Assault Formation, so this is a key card to the entire strategy, so each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. You can pay a green, target creature with defender can attack this turn as though it didn't have defender. And then you can pay 2 and a green. Creatures you control get +0/+1 until end of turn. Really, really cool card. They've got a Leyline of Vitality, so 2 colors, 2 green. It's one of the ley lines, so it can it can be on the board essentially as soon as the game starts. If you have it in your opening hand, it says creatures you control get +0/+1. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under control, you may gain 1 life, so it fits both halves of our strategy. Angelic Chorus, so whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness. Asceticism, another way to protect all of our creatures and mostly our commander. Sight of the Scale Lords, so 4 colors and a green. At the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with toughness 4 or greater get +2/+2 and gain vigilance until end of turn. So actually a really cool enchantment for this type of strategy. Then we're breaking into our instant speed spells here. We've got a Swan Song, just a little bit of counters. Ace Swords Plowshares, Cyclonic Rift, Negate, Eerie Interlude, so once again being able to bounce our walls and then draw extra cards off of them. Frozen Grip, Mystic Confluence, probably one of the best counter spells in the format, really. Farseek, Rampant Growth, Grow from the Ashes. So this is a card that I've been recommending to a lot of people to start picking up. I think it's going to become as important as, like, you know, Explosive Vegetation or Rampant Growth. It's an amazing card. You know, the only downside is I find myself holding off on using it a lot of times, just, you know, maybe even hindering myself a little bit just to get both lands, but, you know, that's a choice you can definitely make. Then we have a ton of, like, one-sided board wipes, so I've chosen my 2 favorites. So Slaughter the Strong is the first one that comes to mind. So it's a 3-cost sorcery, so 1 colorless, 2 white. Each player chooses any number of creatures he or she controls with total power 4 or less, then sacrifices all other creatures he or she controls. So fits right into our strategy, really. I mean, this is a great board wipe for us. And then on the other side, we've got Dusk to Dawn. So destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Aftermath is return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battle, or to your hand, sorry. Amazing card. This is actually probably I guess, my favorite so far that I've seen. It works amazing. Then, of course, Explosive Vegetation, Urban Evolution. Now we're breaking into our land, so we've got Alchemist Refuge. I just love flashing some giant monsters into play, so just flashing in like a 0/6 defender that on their next turn is going to hit them for 6 is pretty important. Then I've got a Bountiful Promenade. This is another cycle of lands that I highly recommend everybody start picking up. Battle Bond was an amazing set, and it has pretty much flown off the shelves, and I would once again recommend picking these up as soon as you can. Breeding Pool, Command Tower, Glacial Fortress, Hollowed Fountain, Hinterland Harbor, Reliquary Tower, Sea of Clouds, another one of those Battle Bond lands, Sunpetal Grove, Temple Garden, Yavimaya Coast, and then our forests, our islands, and our plains. So with that, that is the deck tech. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on Arcades the Strategist. It's a really fun commander once again. I don't know if I'm going to build this in real life. I'm kind of debating about it. I kind of am trying to restrict myself to only building 1 commander deck per set now, just so I don't get absolutely buried in cards. So I think Sai is definitely my favorite so far, and that's the one I'll probably build in real life. But I think this deck actually has a lot of merit to it, and I'm not surprised a lot of people are trying to build it right now. So once again, try and find these cards pretty quick, because I think they're going to fly off the shelves, especially a lot of the older ones. You know, no one really paid attention to them for a long time, so this could be like one of those speculation kind of things where somebody comes in and buys all the copies, kind of like Shield Sphere, which is one of the reasons I didn't include it in here, because it's just like, that's pretty ridiculous for that cost at this point. So anyway, with that, we will see you guys in the next Deck Tech, and I hope you guys have a good day.